Hi, friends. This is Kristen from the Pros and Cons team, and today I'm really excited to talk to you about the pros and cons of waiting until you get to the hospital to give your baby a name. So, with our first, we went to the hospital with about 5 names that we were interested in, and then named our baby after she was born. So, to start off, some of the pros are that you avoid like people being like, oh, I don't like that name, or don't name your baby that, or all those ridiculous comments that people do. Because there's so many times I've heard of people being like, oh, I don't really like that name. Please don't give your child that name. That reminds me of so and so, so and so, and so and so, and all these things. And it's like, no, it's between the parents. Like, they can choose the name. So that is a pro that you get to avoid when you wait till you get to the hospital. Also, you're not feeling like you're locked into a name. I feel like there's sometimes that I've heard of people being like choosing a name and then switching, and everybody's like, "Wait, what? Like, no, you were gonna name him this." Like, and it's like, no, it's not finalized until it's on the birth certificate, and even then, you could probably change it. But it's like that's when it's more finalized rather than right before they're born. And things change. Like sometimes it's just not the right name for the child. Another great pro is that you get to see the baby before you give it a name. I love that because then you're not like, well, maybe this won't really fit them. And honestly, I still felt like it didn't. Like, I was like, is this gonna fit? I wasn't one of those people that was like, yes, this fits so well. But it was good to be able to see the child. Okay, moving on to some of the cons. It can be really stressful. I just remember being like, I just gave birth and I need to figure out a name. And it was really funny because my husband added a name to the list last minute. Was like, what about this one? And I was like, I don't know. And I had just given birth and I was like, I'm so tired. I don't like, that's not something I want to think of a new name that is not on our list. So that was something that was like a little bit stressful. We ended up not going with that name, but I was like, oh, this is super stressful. Also, I wonder if anybody else had this similar experience, and I'm kind of curious. Like, leave it in the comments below if you did. We were asked a million times, like, have you found a name yet? By like the staff at the hospital. And it felt so overwhelming. We probably gave the baby a name, I don't know, it was probably like 17 hours after giving birth. And I kid you not, it felt like everybody was like, have you found a name yet? You know you need to get a name. Like, it's gotta have it, you gotta have a name. And all this stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, we will get a name. Like, don't stress. Don't add to the stress. Like, we will get a name. We will have a name. We just need to take some time. But it does give you something to do while you're in the hospital, so that is definitely a pro. And other con to waiting until the hospital to choose a name is that you will be bombarded with suggestions like, oh, I really like this name. Well, and I guess it depends on who you are, your circumstances, but like you can get really bombarded with, what about this name? What about this name? What about this name? And if it doesn't bother you, that's great. If it bothers you, that may be something that you just like, I just need to finalize a name. But it just depends on the person. Like, it's kind of just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, you can give name suggestions, but as long as there's not a lot of pressure. I've heard of families it's like, no, you need to name the child after this deceased grandparent or something like that. And it's just better just to like break the ice beforehand and be like, no, we're not naming it after this child, and we're going to name him this, or after this grandparent. We're not naming the child after this grandparent or whatever. That is something that can be really stressful, but you can avoid that a little better and break the ice if you've already chosen a name and be like, oh, nope, we're going to choose this name, rather than being like, oh, well, we're still trying to decide, and then you go with a different name. So these are some of the pros and cons that I've thought of. If there are additional pros and cons that you would like to add, please leave them in the description below, and not the description, the comments below, and you can find more on the description below of the pros and cons of waiting till you get to the hospital to name your baby. I hope you have a great day. Bye.